watching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Taking notes in case she misses something. Like if she misses somebody's name or something. Clouds went away. Good, sorry. It's been quite a morning already, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Good morning, it is 10 a.m. The date is Wednesday, October 26th. I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting of the License and Variance Board to order. My name is Penny Masheri. I'm actually the Deputy City Administrator and Service Chair of this board. To my left is Bo Jones, who's our Assistant Director of Public Works, and will be serving as the board today. We're short a couple members because people are getting sick around us. So I hope everyone is feeling well. We're trying to keep everything going. So our first item today is actually a privileged license agent change request. That's item 2A, license 2022-11 for a beer and wine retail package, 2955 Atlanta Road Southeast, Public Supermarkets Incorporated, does business as Public Supermarkets Incorporated, number 1250, with Brent Brown as the agent. Is the applicant here today? Wonderful. If you would please come forward and state your name for the record.
Brent Brown.
Good morning. Can you tell me just a little bit about your position with Publix?
I'm the store manager of Publix, and as such, my duties are to, sell groceries to the community in a safe manner while managing approximately 180 to 200 associates. So,
Okay. How often are you in the store?
usually 5 to 7 days a week. It just kind of depends.
Goodness, okay. Have you served as an agent before?
I have.
Okay. What are your guys' processes for training employees and verifying ages of Publix?
So each associate who is a cashier or will ever run a register is expected to go through computer-based training on the proper procedures for scanning any kind of alcohol or tobacco products. And they have to go through that first. And then we also have our a process where we go ahead and check each store in our district and get checked as well, just to make sure that there's no chance that that we sell to a minor or somebody who has an invalid license to purchase alcohol.
Good to hear. I do have the certificate that shows you've taken the required classes in order to to be the agent, and I just want to make sure you understand the expectations we have of you as an agent in the city. Also, just letting you know that our PD and our police department will come out and do checks from time to time to verify that everything's being followed, and there could be repercussions if they're not. Just making
Understood.
sure you're good with that. With that, Mr. Moore, do you have any questions? I said Mr. Moore, didn't I? Mr. Jones? No, I have not. Mr. Jones has no questions. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve privilege license agent change request 2022-11 beer wine retail package located at 2955 Atlanta Road, Public Supermarket Incorporated, number 1250 with Brent Brown as agent.
I'll second. If we would, go ahead and let's vote. Great, that's passed by a vote of 2-0. Thank you very much for being here today, and we appreciate shopping at your store.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I know someone named Bo Moore. It just comes out occasionally. Okay. Item 2B today is 2022-517, a public hearing, variance request V22-064, to increase the minimum impervious surface area from 35% to 39.78%. Lot 556, 3341 Pretty Branch Drive. Applicant is Luke Burbank. This item is actually going to be tabled until November 9th, 2022, to that license and variance board meeting. If I can get a motion to table.
So moved.
And I'll second. Let's vote. That item 2A is now tabled until the November 9th, 2022 meeting by a vote of 2-0. Our third item on the agenda today is item 2C, 2022-518. This is a public hearing. It's a variance request, V22-065, allow new construction on lot of record below minimum requirements. Lot 664, that's 2601 Argo Drive, and the applicant is Leslie Weaver. Mr. Stobbs, if you would please provide us the background.
Good morning, Joey Stobbs, Planner 2 with Community Development. This is a variance request at 2601 Argo Drive to allow new construction on a lot of record below minimum requirements. This is a roughly 10,000 square foot lot that was created in 1966 prior to our zoning being adopted in 1975. When the zoning was adopted, it was zoned R15, but it was already below the minimum lot size, being 10,000 square feet. So they are looking to demolish the existing house and build a new house. It will meet all of the R15 setbacks, so there's no variances required for that. It's just to receive approval to build a new house on a lot that's below the minimum lot size. But being surveyed in 1966, the hardship is not self-created. Community Development recommends approval with one condition, that the development of the property should be in substantial compliance with the site plan and elevation submitted with the variance application.
Thank you, Mr. Stobbs. Do you have any questions for the staff, Mr. Jones? No, ma'am. Okay. I don't have any questions for you either. Is the applicant here? Wonderful. If you would please come forward and state your name for the record.
Leslie Weaver.
Wonderful. Do you have, Mr. Stobbs has provided us a summary of what's occurring and what you're here for variance for. If you could, do you have anything to add to that summary, or do you think it encapsulates very well?
No, that.
Okay.
Straightforward.
Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let's see. Basically, if this is approved, there is a standard condition that Mr. Stobbs has read out. You're comfortable with meeting that standard?
Yes.
Okay, great. This item is actually a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak in favor or against this item, if you would please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Okay.
Once you're done speaking, I'll need each of you to sign the form for us for the minutes.
Okay.
You'll have 5 minutes for each of you.
Yes, good morning. My name is Miss Redding. When you're talking about building the house on a minimum lot or whatever requirement, what does that mean? Is there enough land to build this house, and how is it going to be angled?
Is that something that Mr. Stobbs can answer now, or do we need to go through the hearing first? Are you comfortable with that, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, this was a lot that was created in 1966, prior to zoning being adopted. So it's a 10,000 square foot lot. Later, it was rezoned R15, which requires a 15,000 square foot lot. So this is something it's not changing anything that's currently there. They're just building a house where the old one was. We need approval to do that. It meets the R15 setbacks, front setback of 35, side setbacks of 10, rear setback of 30. It meets all of those requirements.
Okay.
I stay right next to it. So it's been already surveyed and everything, because I stay in that brick home right next to it. I have no problem with them doing that. I just want to make sure that it don't intervene with my property.
Sure. Yeah, there's a survey. I mean, I can show you. I mean, we're going to show it now, or?
I mean,
Deborah Howard.
Mr. Stobbs is pulling that up. Give him just a second.
Okay.
I'd like to ask a question. Is this the house located, it's the white house left to the brick house?
No, it's the brick house.
Right, there's a brick house. Is this lot located left or to the right of that home, the brick?
Well, it's on my left, and the White House is on my right.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Stobbs. Did he answered your question? Okay, good.
Good morning. How's everybody? My name is Thomas Starr. I live at 2598 Bay Street. I am the owner of the property that is directly behind the property in question right now. And my problem with this issue is there's a lot of encroachments going on with these properties. I made a notice of this, maybe 2 years ago at a meeting here. I met with Rusty. I've called my ward to come out and take a look at the situations. I've had 2 surveys done on it. Matter of fact, I've had 3 surveys done on it. And these surveys has not coincided with each other. So I've got with the developer, which is Liam Anthony, and tried to work out a resolution as to what we could do together to make this thing work. But instead, my fence was pushed down. And it's encroachments on one end on the place that is in question now. That was pushed back. And on the lower end, that was pushed back. So, in talking to Rusty told me that I needed to get a lawyer on this. So I waited a while and kept trying to talk to the developers, and the developers accused me of taking property from them. So at this particular time, I've retained a lawyer, and they are in the process of trying to straighten this situation out. So at this particular time, I am sort of reluctant to this variance going forward any further until this situation is squared away. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, sir. What we are here to address one very specific item today, and that's whether or not the lot before us meets the variance requirements. According to the city's code, they do that. So that's what we're going to be addressing today. What you're discussing is more of a civil, private matter between the two of you as property owners, and I'm hoping you guys will be able to get that worked out.
Pardon me, I agree with you. I'm not complaining about the variance notice. I'm complaining about them making a variance on my land. See, that's where I'm coming from.
And
So
again, that's,
until that is squared away, I don't think you all need to move forward with this.
again, I believe that's probably a legal matter that you guys would need to settle privately. According to, Mr. Staub's, correct me if I'm wrong, but the city's records show that this property is meeting all of the requirements it needs to for a variance, and conforms, or
Correct.
is,
They're not requesting any setback variances.
okay. So it's going to be exactly the same as the house that was there, correct? Well, or at least in the same footprint.
Configuration of the property is not like, well, I've been there since back in the 60s myself. And I've not ever known this property to be the size it is now. It's a lot that's been changed. So if you're speaking about an issue where it need to go to court, then I think we should go to court right now and check it out. I think we could get all of this stopped at this particular time, right now, instead of going forward with it. Because we have people that has been in this area forever, and they are being, at the way this development is going on, they are being affected by this. I mean, the road is only this wide, and if somebody passes, they gotta go all the way down in their yard to pass. I mean, this is an issue where look like we're taking it too lightly, and we need to look forward into this to make sure that this development is going to be correct, because we do want the community to look better than what we've had in the past. And hopefully we can see that at this time. And I don't want to go to court. I don't want to get the law involved and all this and that. Hey, because I think we can get together right now or whatever we need to do and get this situation squared away, as long as we got the right tools to do it with. Don't get on my property and to make your development work. Because Liam and I have had a talk, and all the development that has been done in there, we as the people that live there know that the boundary lines on the properties is not correct. So I don't understand all this setback stuff. Okay?
Your time is actually up, so I'm going to ask you to stop it. And what I will say today is those are all different matters from what we're looking at.
All right,
And
sure.
I understand your concern, and I hear what you're saying. But that is an issue that needs to be resolved outside of this body. This
Yeah,
body has one task today, and that is with what we've been provided as the city, is to look and see if the variance is something that should move forward. The dispute over whether or not it's the right property lines is something you guys would need to settle, outside of this body.
Pardon me. So at this particular time, my objection to this variance, what do it count for now? Is it nothing, or do I, what am I to expect of this?
The body will take a vote and decide whether or not to move the variance forward. And then at that point, you certainly have the obligation and you have the right to speak to the Community Development Department and again, to work on the matter. But again, we have to look at the issue before us today, and that is whether or not what we've been presented meets the city's codes. So it's a very small box that we have to work within. There are a lot of other boxes that you could check. You could certainly have another conversation with Mr. Martin, and he would have been here today, but he has also had the flu, so he has been out not feeling well as well. And then obviously I would confer again with your attorney and see, because that's a civil property matter and something that we can't address within this body.
Okay, I can understand that, and I appreciate you guys' time, yeah?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Hey, Bo, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm good.
Okay, man.
Sure, if you come up, say, if you would, again, state your name for the record, just so Ms. Korn has it for the minutes.
Wilma Redden. I'm sorry, but for the people that have had their property surveyed, if their property is saying one thing and the house that they are fixing to tear down and rebuild, if any of that, where they're fixing to build the house is on somebody else's land, can that motion be stopped? I know you all saying one thing, but even looking at the houses that they've already built, if we wanted to have something built, they tell us, no, we don't have enough area. So now you're looking at where y'all taking it and switch things around, change it from years ago to where it's at now. And it doesn't look like there's enough land for this house to be built. Even going from this way to that way. Like I said, we've got a narrow street, so our main thing is, are they gonna have to take any other street? Are they planning on widening the street? Because they don't tell us everything. Even when they build this new house, are they gonna put the wires up above or down on the ground? Which our street is not that long. Argo Drive, all of the wires should be under the ground. So it's a lot that needs to be done. And yes, we are concerned about this house being built. So I'm hoping that this thing has really been sorted out, that nobody's losing any property, because this is all new to us. We are family owned. Everything in that area, we didn't have to worry about nothing being surveyed. So now we are concerned about, is anything being taken away from us?
And again, and I hate to keep saying the same thing, but it really comes down to, if you have a dispute over the boundaries of land that is between two private property owners, and that is not something that the city can get involved in, that's a legal matter. And I wish I could do more, but that's really where this falls. As far as the requirements, the house will have to meet the requirements that the city sets, and for it to get its building permit will have to be within the restrictions. Mr. Staubs, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a series of building codes that will have to meet the site plan that it's been given. It will have to meet within the setbacks, which means that it should not encroach on anybody's property, as far as we know the property lines to be. Again, that doesn't bring, I don't understand. I can't speak to the boundary dispute. What I can speak is to what we have in front of us. So from what they've presented, it should meet the requirements, correct?
Correct.
Joey, could I ask a question? This is not a lot split. This is a current lot in its current state of situation, correct?
Say that again.
It's not a lot split, correct?
Correct.
It's in the current state it was in back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, right?
Exactly.
And it does look to appear to be the same size as the lot next to it where the brick home is located.
I don't know. I only have a survey for this
Okay.
specific property.
No, it's not.
Well, it may not be. I'm looking at GIS maps. I don't know the exact footage, but that was just my question for Mr. Stops.
So you're saying that if the owner of this brick house, if their survey says one thing, and somebody else looking at this 2601, whatever that address is, the house next to it is saying it's okay to build, and they also have a survey?
No,
at
I
this
wasn't.
point?
I wasn't asking. I was just asking Joey if it was close to the current size, and if it was in the original state it was actually in when it was actually surveyed back in the 60s.
The house here, but you have to realize that house is sitting on, the part of that house is sitting on somebody else's property. And like I said, this is all new to us. We didn't have to go through no survey back in the day. Our parents, everything was just, we had peace. It was all family. And now with all this stuff coming in, yes, we want to know if anything is being taken away from us. And we're not told everything. When you said variance, I'm looking at this means that stuff has been changed. Because something is not right. I already know in my spirit. If this thing don't need to go forth, please don't push it. Give us more time.
Mr. Stobbs, can you explain why it got what the variance was about? Because it's not about, it's about can you explain it, please?
Yeah, it's about being able to build on a lot that was already created. I mean, nothing's changing with the lot configuration. It's staying the same as it always was.
I disagree, because like I'm saying, back in the day, they didn't have no surveys. Now that you've got a private owner of this house that sits directly in the center of the house that you're talking about, the white house and the brown house, it's a difference. Because now this individual, the private owner of the brick house, they've had their land surveyed. So much has been altered. So please, I beg you, don't go forth with this. It's going to be a discrepancy. If a piece of that, where they fixing to build this house, yeah, we love improvement. But if you're fixing to build on somebody else's property, somebody's in trouble.
I think that's what Penny was stating. That's a private matter. So.
Well, what do we do? Y'all already approved it, right?
We haven't called for the vote yet. But again, what this body's job is to look at what we've been presented by staff and the request that's come in to the city as it relates to the city's codes and whether or not it meets that request. Based on information from our staff, who is experts in the field and can look at the city's codes and tell us whether or not that it meets it. We do listen to public hearing and we do hear feedback from the community, but it has to relate to that specific issue. The issue you're addressing is one about private property lines, and that is not something that we can address here. It is a legal matter between whoever believes they have property that this is infringing on needs to settle with the other property owner. So if whoever is here who believes that the house that's existing now is on their property, that would be that person's responsibility as a property owner to challenge the other property owner as far as the boundaries in a legal setting. So again, it is not, this variance doesn't have anything to do with the property lines. It has to do with whether or not the property can move forward and continue to have something built on it in its state, even though it was originally platted in the 60s, correct?
That's correct.
So again, if there's a property issue, that has to be settled in a court. And I'm not an attorney and I'm not a judge, and that's the people that have to do that. So if there's if you guys have a challenge that you guys need to put forward, then if you've already retained an attorney, I would definitely speak to them and you guys can have that conversation. But again, that's not this body.
Okay, let me ask you something. Are there any other meetings coming up pertaining to the properties that is on Argo Drive? Because there are a good many other issues that have not been pleasing to us. Like they building houses, they putting the lines now in the ground. Why can't that whole street be like that? I'm sure there's going to be another different thing to talk about, like what you're saying now. And with they put new water pipes or whatever you call it, if I'm not, but they've got a mess because water, they did not turn off the water thing. Water has ran all down through my property as well as other people's. So with all of that water being wasted, who's got to pay for that?
If there are questions about stormwater issues and things like that, there are staff members that you can meet with to discuss those individually.
Feel free. I'll give you my number and my email after we get done.
Thank
there,
you.
okay?
Mr. Jones is very helpful in those matters.
Okay.
But those are all things that you can talk about outside of this body as well. So, you could speak with Rusty, or you could speak with Mr. Jones, or you could speak with our city engineer and our stormwater team about those issues.
Would love to. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for being here today. Okay. With that, I would ask for a motion.
Motion to approve variance request 22-065 to allow new construction on lot of record below minimum requirements located, or lot 664 located at 2601 Argo Drive. Leslie Weaver.
And I'll second. And properly moved and seconded, if we would please vote. The item has passed by a vote of 2-0. And we'll move on to our next item on the agenda. Our final item on the agenda today is the approval of our minutes. That is item 3A, MIN 2022-70, approval of the October 12th, 2022 License and Variance Board meeting minutes. May I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And I'll second. If it's been properly moved and seconded, if you would please vote. This item 3A has been approved by a vote of 2-0. With that, unless there's any other additional business to be brought before this body, we'll consider this meeting adjourned at 10:28. Thank you.